and allow me to access other abilities I shouldn't have at all. It was a lovely thing, despite its weirdness. It appeared to be made of flat gemstones in every color from garnet to opal to black diamond, linked with gold and platinum wire. I could just make out the tissue and veins of my arm through the more transparent stones. The TRG decided that they needed to know more about this strange bracelet and its powers, my powers, and they drugged me and locked me up. In an odd family coincidence, my mother, my only known relative, had also escaped from an asylum decades ago when she didn't like the look of the treatment some of the other kids were getting. I'd learned that someone, perhaps even the TRG itself, had been responsible for that asylum, and it was somewhere near, north of the TRG's Virginia headquarters. I suppose it made sense if it was the TRG to keep their experiments where they could keep an eye on them. I knew now that someone had already messed with Ma's brain, her memories, in an attempt to hide her identity from her while retaining all the inclinations and powers of her Fangborn heritage. According to the file Adam had stolen, my mother was older than she believed, had been born in 1949. It was the long lifespan of the Fangborn, a secret kept from her, that led her believe she was in her middle 40s and not her mid-60s. She believed she was as ordinary as the next guy. That was true, as long as the next guy was a vampire, or a werewolf, or an oracle. I wasn't 100% certain that the drugs they'd given her, trying to suppress her memories of what she was, of who her family was, of being Fangborn, hadn't been responsible for her brain cancer. If I found out who did that to her, I'd probably destroy them. So, to recount, no more friends, no family, no job, no nothing. Having escaped the TRG, I had several goals. I was going to track down those friends and find that asylum, hoping it would give me answers about myself. But even I, the original bad luck charm, was having a hard time being optimistic when being a killer was the only thing I had going for me. And now Adam, my last tie with my old life of a month or two, was mad at me to boot. Adam and I had gotten to know each other pretty well in the past few days. You can't help that on a road trip. He'd done a lot of traveling and told great stories about his adventures. I think he was impressed by the fact that I'd read even more sci-fi than he had. We agreed on the Red Sox, me because of growing up around Boston, and Adam because he had a near-encyclopedic knowledge of players, games, and stats. I never did convince him on Deadmau5, but he gave it a shot. After a few pro forma protests, I learned that I could look forward to listening to Telemann and Bach when it was his turn to pick the music. When he did laugh, which wasn't all that often, it was surprisingly unreserved. We had a rhythm down to our traveling, and it suited both of us. We were becoming friends. To prove it, I picked the fight he didn't want to have. Hey, Nichols, if you're sick of talking to me, you can stop and I'll leave right now. I didn't ask you to pick me up 2 weeks ago, or in Greece, or in Turkey either. He frowned.
There's nothing wrong. We're pulling off to get coffee like you asked. I'm just concentrating.
He wasn't exactly lying, but... Adam, what is it?
Zoe, I've already said.
He shrugged.
We were almost caught yesterday, and these little forays of yours are slowing us down. You just don't want to acknowledge that.
No, I didn't want to acknowledge it. Yesterday had been my 3rd kill in 2 weeks. I'd been told that the Fangborn are always right, and are always on the side of right, and that every single one of my targets, last week, the week before, all the ones before that, had deserved it. I also didn't want to admit that I was getting better at it. And just how good it felt killing bad guys, the ones who get off on cruelty, hurting and killing others. Even when I sensed utterly the person under my fangs had earned it, even when I had proof, the Fangborn assertions of infallibility seemed a little convenient. I can't help it, you know that. I smell evil, I have to go after it. But it had never been so many, so intense before. Even with werewolf strength and stamina, I was exhausted. I had never been able to sense evil from as far